everybody. Welcome to Show Me Yours. I am your co-host, Rihanna Werner, along with my friend and co-host, Mr. Jason Sheffield.
Hey, everybody.
And here we are going to have another wonderful conversation about the icky, sticky, yucky mistakes of business, but also the reality of business that actually, in my humble opinion, I don't even know what's going to happen in this conversation, but I have a feeling that there's a happy ending. There always is. Anyways, I am excited to introduce all of you to, our longtime friend, but also my guide in real estate. He is the wizard of all real estate wizardry, especially when it comes to commercial real estate. So everybody, I'd like to introduce you to Caleb David.
Hey, everyone. Good to be here with you.
He's with David Commercial Real Estate Commercial, just David Commercial, right?
Either one works.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. David Commercial. It's got a great ring. You should see his logo. It's like the best commercial real estate logo ever made. Anyway, so Caleb and I met. Actually, you met us through my husband, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on a board for a nonprofit, and you were helping them with a real estate deal. And we quickly started to look for real estate for our businesses. We wanted to move out of the house because, well, that was old. Yes. And then Caleb helped us find our first property.
Yeah.
We did a lot of searching, and we changed directions on you.
You did.
A lot.
You did.
Yeah.
We pivoted, though.
We did. I blame Yummy. It was his fault. He planted a seed. He told us we were looking for space in Monument. We wanted to stay up in Monument. And we went to, oh my gosh, Small Business Week event that he was speaking at today. This morning we were just at a Small Business Week event and talked with him, and he was talking about all of the wonderful things happening in downtown Colorado Springs, especially in the small business arena. And then literally 5 minutes after that conversation with Yummy, we called up Caleb and was like,
Switch it up.
We're going downtown.
It's great.
I don't know. With no hesitation, you're like, yep, okay, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we got booted out of
that was a whole story.
Yeah, yeah. Have you been ever kicked out of commercial real estate? Because I have.
And not because of your fault.
No, it wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't.
But
Wait
here
a
we
minute.
are.
Can we retell that story? I need like
Sure.
a badass story. Like we throw rager parties or something.
It was our fault.
It was our fault. We were shooting guns.
Had the beer keg going.
Yeah, keg stands at the HR office.
Brilliant. That tracks.
It totally does. Yeah. How'd you know our brand voice? The sound of a kegerator. No, but you actually helped us negotiate ourselves out of that deal.
Yes.
Because they wanted us to walk away, but you're like, whoa, you have a lease. They have
Exactly.
to buy you out of that lease.
Yep.
So we actually got paid to move.
Yes.
Which
It took some finagling, you know, and some bending over backwards, but we were able to find this space for you guys.
yeah.
And it's worked out wonderfully.
Oh my gosh, we're so blessed. Yeah, so but having an expert like that who we can turn to and say, "Hey, this is happening. We don't know what to do." And having them say, "Whoa. Here's what we do."
Yeah.
And guide us down the right path.
Yeah.
We came out 20 times better than we even thought we would have.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. Sometimes they have happy endings.
They do. They usually do.
Yeah.
They usually do. So, I have a question for you.
Bring it.
All right. If your business had a theme song,
Ooh.
what theme song would it be?
Wow. That is a great question.
I know, right?
I'm going to have to go, This Is Me from the, what was that movie with Hugh Jackman in it?
Oh, the Greatest Showman.
Greatest Showman. That's
Yes.
it. I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
I love that
Yeah.
movie.
It's such a good one.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it either. It's a good one to go back and rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
That makes perfect sense for you.
Yeah, it does.
This is like, I remember, well, we had a lot of private conversations during that time, but when you founded your business, that was really your This Is Me moment.
It was. It was.
Just got goosebumps. That's cool. How cool. Okay. All right. We're going to draw a card. All right. You pick a card, any card. Read the card out loud, and then we'll have a discussion. Oh, no.
What's your best excuse when you're pulled over for speeding?
Ooh.
That's a good one.
That is.
I mean, it would probably involve Mexican food and maybe really strong coffee.
That's good.
Done.
I mean,
My grandfather told me once when I first got my driver's license, if you ever get pulled over, always keep a water bottle next to you so you can just dump it on your lap.
smart.
I know.
I would have never thought it.
Yeah. What about you, Jason?
Okay, so I've only been pulled over twice in my entire driving career.
Wow.
Really?
And both times have been within the last probably 3 years. And in fact, most recently was a couple weeks ago when we were driving down to New Mexico to go to the hot springs at Ojo Caliente. I had a car full of people with me, in-laws, family. And I get on one of those roads and just start driving. And all of a sudden, next thing I know, I see this white truck on the opposite side pull off of the median, lights turned on, and I'm like, oh man, that's me. Damn it. So pull over, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, like I'm nervous. Like I'm like really nervous because I really have never had this experience before. Like it's been a minute of like, okay, what do you do? What do
How do I
reminding
act?
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, and I'm like, so I'm again, a lot of nerves. So I can't think of anything. So he comes up to the window and he's like, so you were speeding. Why were you speeding? And I was like, I don't know. I just was. I had no excuse. I just like messed up. I'm like, yep, I probably was speeding. He's like, I got you at 83. I was like, that sounds right. Like, so I'm the worst person at being able to get out of a situation thinking on my feet or any experience on how to do
That's
that. So
hilarious.
I'm not a good one for this one. Just straight up honesty was my play.
I have to say for girls, flirting always does work.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, we just have the natural ability to do it. And it's gotten me out of a few, especially like being that, naive little girl. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Officer. That worked in my younger days. Now in my older days, it's been a while since I've been pulled over, so we'll have to give that a whirl. One time we got pulled over and Brian tried the flirting gig. It was a female police officer. And she just looked at him like he was stupid. And she's just like, and let me double the fine.
I thought if I started crying, it might get a little awkward. I'm like, I'm so sorry, officer. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this before. At 40, like, he's not going to believe that. But it's true. It's true.
The things we do. Do you
That's
have a
true.
good pullover story?
Once I was pulled over in Mexico.
Ooh.
Yes.
Were you eating Mexican food?
I was not eating Mexican food.
Coffee?
Right. I'd had a cocktail. And apparently I ran a stop sign. And it was just a day trip. We were coming off a boat and then had rented a car. And the officer was like, you're coming to the station with me. And I'm like, I have 45 minutes to be back on the boat. And I can't remember exactly how we got out of it. I don't know if we paid him, but we were able to get back on the boat. But yeah, feeling that struggle of I might not be getting back on that boat
Ooh, that would be a
That's
moment.
scary.
and end up in a Mexican jail,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
You're like, I'm
or
not
any
going
jail
with
for
you.
that matter. Doesn't matter what country. But yeah, so just thinking, oh, well, I guess we'll see how this plays out. And thankfully, happy ending.
Thank goodness. Oh my gosh. We wouldn't be friends today.
No, we wouldn't.
Oh
You
my
could still be
gosh.
stuck in a
I could
Mexican
still
jail.
exactly.
Does not sound good. Whoever paid off that cop, thank you.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, I'm curious. I'm always, when we talk with business leaders, often I find leaders enjoy reading or maybe have had a book of something that has really impacted them. So what's a book that not only has impacted you, but your favorite book to gift to other people?
Oh,
Like the book you've given away. It could be a business book
Yeah.
or not, but what's just a book that you find you've given away?
a book that I've given away a lot is called Bread and Wine.
Okay.
Actually, it's by an author out of originally Michigan, but now they're in New York. And I'm completely blanking, and she's one of my favorite authors. But Bread and Wine, it's a combination of just talking about the importance of food and gathering around food and community. And that book was actually very instrumental when I changed the name of my nonprofit back in the day. to the table initiative to get people around the table having conversations that are typically difficult or triggering. Usually if there's food in someone's mouth, you know, they're not talking as much, hopefully. So that's one. And I would say, gosh, anything by Brene Brown, you know, and Father Richard Rohr is another one that I really, really has been very life-changing for me.
Yeah.
So I would say probably my favorite of his is Falling Upward.
Love it. Read that
Great
book.
one. Yeah.
Mr. Rohr I'm a big fan as well.
Huge fan.
So we could jam on that, but that's not really this
Right.
podcast. I mean, it could be, but
If only he was here.
if only.
We're grown-ups. We can do whatever we want.
That's true.
You know? Just saying. Well, I'm so predictable here because everybody knows this. Well, maybe not everybody, but I am a huge Patrick Lencioni fan. Huge, like fangirl to the core. He's actually going to be up in Denver in a couple weeks, and I'm like,
Great.
ooh, can I like make signs? Yeah. I just love his leadership philosophies, and I love how he guides and molds leaders, not necessarily through lecture, but through fables and tales that are relatable. So it's an even spread. I give away pretty much all of his books. And it's funny because I have my personal library upstairs in my office. And every time I'm like, oh, you've got to read this book. And I'll go pull it out of my personal library. And I'm like, okay, give it back. In the back of my mind, I know they're never going to give it back. 6 months later, I'm replacing that book because I have to have a full-on Lencioni library at all times. Just last week, I gave a client Getting Naked, and he texted me a couple days later. It was like 9 o'clock at night. He's like, I can't put this book down. He's like, thank you so much. I think you just changed my business.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing how mindset and certain things can just be that thing that helps you pivot
Yeah.
and go the direction that you're supposed to be going.
Exactly. Exactly. And if I can lend to that just by, offering a book,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'll just keep replenishing that same damn shelf.
Just order it by the case.
I know, I probably should.
Let's see. I really enjoy giving away Seth Godin books. To me, when it comes to like marketing, I feel like, and just a lot of strategy and different business thinking, but Godin to me is just a constant source of inspiration. Every time, any book I've read, he is just that person. So it kind of depends on maybe where someone's at, which book of his, but specifically for people that are going through strategy and marketing and trying to develop things, his book, This is Marketing, is the Bible. And kind of drives, I think, pretty much, if you read that book, you'll understand how to market. The tactics may not be there, and like Facebook ads, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But when you're trying to find brand voice, find who you're going after, find kind of developing those strategies, it is the book. So This is Marketing, hands down, one of my faves.
I've never read it.
Wow.
No,
It's in my
I'm
office if you want it.
I'll trade you.
Great.
I love that.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing how much you can glean from a book. And it sparks that curiosity, but also that self-reflection. Because as you read, you're not sitting there listening to someone tell you.
Right.
You get that chance to turn internally.
Yeah.
And I think it's such an important part of any kind of business to take that time instead of just go, to have that time to fill yourself up with new knowledge, with new ideas, because it may not be that specific thing, but it's what I like to call the what if questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
What if we did this? And usually that first layer is not any good. So you have to keep asking those what if questions, and eventually you get down to that jewel of and that piece of information that you need to get you on the road.
Speaking of layers, as you were building David Commercial, you're right. That first layer is never, ever any good.
Yeah.
Right? So as you were peeling back the layers, what big mistakes did you make?
I think probably the biggest mistake I've made in business has been thinking that I need to show up in a room a certain way and thinking that I have to take on other people's expectations of me. And I think when I started building David Commercial, I was in a phase of my life personally, emotionally, spiritually, where I was stripping everything away. And so it was a very, very dark season, very difficult. But it's in those times, that's when I found myself at the age of 40 for the first time in my life. And so I would say especially in a business that is very white male dominated, cisgender male dominated. And here I am, you know, a brown
Not.
queer coming out at 40 man, and in the city of Colorado Springs. And so that was a very interesting time and very difficult time, because what people had known about me before, people thought, oh, well, you lied to me. I was like, well, no, I lied to myself.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
lying to myself.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that being able to walk into a room as who you fully are and not feel shame is one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of shame and guilt that comes before that. So I think trying to operate my business on other people's terms was the biggest mistake I've ever made.
When you say other people's terms, like, what did society feed into you and tell you you needed to be?
Well, that I had to work crazy hours, that I had to be running around like a chicken with my head cut off, putting out fires. And over time, the older I get, the more I realize I can let stuff come to me.
Yeah.
You know, what I put out there is attracted to me as well. And I think, you know, the expectation of just churn, make the company you work for more and more money, you know? And I'm not motivated by money. I'm motivated by purpose,
Yeah.
you know, and the good that can be done in the world through my job, not let me use this as a way to kind of just shovel money in,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
So I think just identifying for myself who I am and that I'm good without any other kind of label. You know, I don't have to be the social justice guy. I don't have to be the king real estate guy. You know, just who we are as human beings, inherently, we're good.
Yeah.
And I think it took going through that biggest mistake of masking my entire life to finally go through, thanks to COVID and all the surrounding circumstances, you know, kind of pushed you through that reawakening.
I'm curious, when you think back to building the business off of other people's expectations, what are some of the like actual activities or things that you found yourself doing, like trying to actually do to meet that expectation? Like, how did that manifest for you?
Yeah, I think I was just frantic. I think I just felt like I needed to keep myself busy with any and everything. It could be, you know, going to a shopping center and handing out flyers from a property next door that I've got.
Okay.
Nothing ever good comes out of that.
Yeah.
You know? You know,
So it's like business
busy
development
work.
type of busy,
kinda
like
business
trying to
development. I did a lot of networking events.
Okay.
I mean, and we've done a lot of the same circles and serve on a lot of similar, you know, boards and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so I found myself losing myself into activity. And, you know, I was not in a marriage where I was happy. There was a lot of change in my faith journey that I was going through as well. So, I mean, you talk about all the worlds colliding and going dark at once.
Yeah.
That's what I experienced.
So you had career, family, and faith, and identity.
And identity. Yeah. Which we'd always been taught growing up, you know, that this is your identity. You know, your identity is, you're told what your identity is. And then society picks up on that and then they put on you. And so now it's just like to be able to be free from that kind of oppression is pretty incredible.
I find so many business owners struggle with this. Even though their struggle might look drastically different, the basis is always the same, and it's identity. And the identity that you hold with your business, and the identity you extract from your business. And that extraction energy that this business is giving you an identity, like all those other things that you're extracting identity from, family, faith, whatever, those things get taken away, and what's left?
Right.
Who are you?
Right.
And if you don't know how to answer that question, your business is going to suffer
I
across the board.
completely agree. And I think even just going back to the branding we did for our company, if I was not in the place that I was, the result would have been very different.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it would have been very different. It would have been more conforming, you know, less inviting. But we intentionally, with how we've put together our website, I literally had a person of color reach out to me and say, I went to your website and I felt like I was safe.
Oh,
And I was like, that is the best compliment you could possibly give, because that is the intention of our organization, is to let people feel safe, included, and served with the same quality that someone who's a multimillionaire would get.
Yeah.
It's the same level of service that we provide. And to have people come to us now and say, wow, this is so different. You know, we felt safe. I mean, just incredible.
There was a moment in your life when all of these were colliding, right? And it probably started to brew within you first before you even said anything or did
Yeah.
anything. What was that moment where you're like, okay, I get it. I hear you. World, universe, Caleb.
Yeah.
What was your moment you jumped off that cliff and said, fuck it?
Yeah. That's pretty much how it went. I was sitting in a parking lot in an
I
office.
see things.
I was sitting in a parking lot during COVID, off of InterQuest, and I was on Zoom with my therapist, and I'd been seeing him for 8 years at that time.
Wow.
And
So
I
you
had
bought him a
never,
beach house.
I contributed. Yeah. But I finally came out to him. And in that moment, the thing that set me free was that he just stopped and he took a breath and he said, can we just stop and bless your gayness right now?
Oh,
And it was the first time in my life where I felt like I have permission to be me.
wow.
The very first. And then it was a series of other things that happened, meeting with some of my family members, talking with them, and then reading Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed. You know, she talks about the marriage that she was stuck in, and she's braiding her daughter's hair, and this question came to her mind. She said, is this a marriage I would want for my daughter? And the answer was no. And then the thought came to her, then why am I modeling this for her?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, as painful as it was for myself and my children, I had to set myself free before I could
Yeah,
help anybody else.
Yeah.
Really.
absolutely. You did it for your kids.
Yeah.
You had to set that example for them
Yeah.
to live the life that you
Yeah.
wanted them to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's important.
It is.
I did the same thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is. It is. But, you know, when you have those self-realizations and self-discovery moments, there's always that fear of like what can happen. And, you know, the world is going to shatter and it's going to break. But
And it does.
it does.
Yeah.
It does. But
But then it gets put back together.
then you get to be the architect, right? You get to be the person that says, this feels authentic to me. This fits with who I am.
Yeah.
And this is what doesn't.
It makes me think of that Japanese pottery. Wow, what is it called? I forget. Where it's the broken pottery
Yeah.
and then they fuse it together with gold. And that pottery is some of the most valuable pottery in all of the lands. But it's because of its brokenness
Yeah.
that makes it so
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah. And we're in an industry where brokenness and vulnerability isn't celebrated.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
that was a doozy to navigate, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, over time you do it
yeah.
and you get less clunky at it, you know? And then you start living out from your values, you know? And you don't have this exterior pressure of you have to perform, you know? It felt like it was dance monkey dance, you know? And I was just like, no, I'm tired of dancing. I'm exhausted. I'm 45 now.
Yeah.
I don't want to dance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fuck off, bitches. Take your tambourine somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you blew up your world.
Yeah.
You broke. And what was in the brokenness a profound moment that helped you really feel comfortable and yeah, I did the right thing?
You know, that's a really good question. I got a two-part answer for that.
Okay.
I would say first it was reading Father Richard Rohr and coming to the belief that I am inherently good. I was raised that you are a sinner, you're going straight to hell. These are all the things. And I think it was finally getting that belief that if I am created in the image of God, then I am good.
Yes, you are.
And so I think that was a huge part for me. And then I would say, wow. there's just so much to learn
Yeah.
from the darkness, and I think because we always are very attached to certain outcomes, we have certain expectations. I think it came to the place where I had to learn, because I am good, I can trust myself. And I think there's many of us walking around out there, we do not trust ourselves. We rely on all the other voices around us to make us okay.
Yeah.
But if you go into that dark place and you just keep doing the next right thing, there were days where I couldn't imagine 10 seconds from now. So I would count down 10 seconds and then I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And you were good.
And everywhere that I went, I was still here, you know, and I think what that has brought for me is a new understanding of the amount of anxiety that I had and depression was all these other voices that are telling you you're not good enough. You can't, you know, you have to do this a certain way. Yeah. But at some point you finally are just like, no, I'm good. I can trust myself.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong, I can learn from that. Yeah. And I think every dark place, every dark night of the soul has a lesson to teach us. And I think what I've learned now to do is when those times come is just ask the question, what is it trying to teach me right now?
It's the best you can do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I find like when that thing comes online for yourself where you finally begin to trust yourself and you start building beliefs around what you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
It's like within you. You're not outsourcing it. It's not anybody else telling you. You might find other people that are saying similar things where it feels like there's a resonance there. And that can be informing and encouraging, like, oh, yeah, they're saying something that I really feel too. But at the end of the day, it gets you to the point where you have enough authority to where you're willing to be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of leaders struggle with that. They're not willing to be wrong.
Yeah.
Like they're not willing to take a strong enough stand to be like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm willing to be wrong. Let's go.
Yeah.
And that's such a vulnerable place to be.
It
It
is.
requires so much like self worth and identity that you just put it on red.
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to be wrong.
Yep.
But you know what? I'm probably not because I know where it's coming from.
Right.
But that place, that almost audacity. And then the world is looking at you like, well, what business coach told you that? Or what book did you read that into? And all that other stuff. And it's like, I don't know. This is me. And I'm willing to be wrong.
Yeah. And I think if we pay attention to our internal journeys, I think so often in business, we focus on the exterior, the success, all the different things, right? The strategies. I find that it's so important for me now to make sure that I'm grounded before I go into a meeting. And so if that means I need to take a 20-minute nap before I go and show up, then that's what I do, you know, and to be able to give myself the freedom to say, you know what, that can wait. That doesn't need to be done right now.
Yeah.
And pay attention to my internal dialogue and what's going on there and what I need to align there. And then I go back to my work once I find that grounding and alignment again. And it's amazing how productive you can be when you're aligned.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because so much of the misalignment leads to inefficiency.
Yes.
Right. Just even if you look at it from a very like brass kind of crass way, it's like if it's misaligned, it's not going to be efficient because it has to zigzag and it's going all around. So if that's your internal constitution. Then you're not going to be very efficient in the way that you're showing up at work because you're misaligned.
Absolutely.
You've got all the voices in your head and you got all the bullshit that's going on. Of course, you're going to be feeling anxiety and all these other things that so many business owners have on, and like, let alone just all these other layers you're bringing up. Just on that top layer, you're dealing with that. Imagine what's happening as you get closer to the core, right?
Absolutely. And that's why we spend a lot of time talking to small businesses with our company. Is helping them realize that, okay, you don't just want to open a restaurant. There's a whole lot more that goes into this.
That's the important part right there is understanding that.
And, you know, what are the hurdles that we try to create a roadmap for people so they can say, okay, this is my dream, but here's how you get there. But you're going to have to go through it layer by layer by layer. We'll be here with you in those things. And I think it's a great metaphor for life too, right? When you're going through the different layers, you got to find that support of someone who just sit there with you that has been through.
You can sit in silence
sometimes.
Together and just be and know you're okay.
You have to do it alone, but it doesn't have to be lonely.
Yes.
That's the piece that I found. It's like you're still the one that has to do it. No one can do it for you. You got to be the one to do the thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be lonely.
Correct.
You don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to steal that from you. That's
'Kay.
good.
That's really good.
really good. I need to tell my kids that.
Yeah.
Go pay your bills alone.
But I'll be right here, so it's not lonely.
I'll hold your hand. Get off my payroll. In the same essence of alignment, I think that there's also that critical component of authenticity. I'd love to hear you guys' perspective on this, because in my career, I found when I was not authentic to myself, when I was not able to be me, and I'm a really unconventional HR geek, like really unconventional. I like to break the rules before I make the rules.
Yeah.
Right. And especially working in corporate, I was just never settled. I was never authentic. Just never felt like me professionally until I went out on my own. And even when I first started the business, I wasn't truly authentic. I wasn't fully me because I had to be that person that everybody expects you to be.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to unlearn a lot.
Yeah, you do. I mean, honestly, I guess I'll say it here on camera, but I probably shouldn't. To many people, I'll tell them I'm a native, and they'll say the first thing is, where'd you go to high school? And I would typically lie. I would lie and not tell anybody where I went to high school, because I went to a pretty rough school that was very unorthodox and has a strong reputation for housing the kids that were thrown away. And I was one of those kids, but I would never tell anybody because I had to fit into a mold.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm just starting to bubble out of that. And I'm starting to find my true authentic self, especially, publicly, professionally. It's easier at home behind closed doors. But anyway, now that you've found your true authentic self, and you've been that outward person, say, no, here I am, and I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
How has that impacted your business? Because I feel like it's impacted my business quite positively.
Yeah. Initially, it was affected very negatively. But I think that's the getting rid of. That's the shedding of the skin. Because I want to work with people that align with us. And so the number of business deals has gone, commercial deals has gone down, but they're more valuable to me.
Yeah.
Because these are people that have now become friends. I mean, we're sitting here right now because real estate made us friends.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say definitely one thing that it has definitely helped me is what do I say no to? There are certain archetypes in our industry that I've learned. All they want to do is spew about politics and complain about the social problems in our country while they're buying houses in Arizona and all over the world. And, like that doesn't, that's not my thing. If you want to talk politics, let's be constructive. Let's humanize the issue, and that sort of thing. So I think what it has taught me is what to say no to. And if I feel in my gut that something's not right, like I'll sometimes, even with my team, I'll say it out loud so they can hold me accountable and be like, something about this deal doesn't feel right. And then, usually you just get that reflection back. They're like, just, okay, then let's walk away.
Oh my God, that gut is a powerful thing,
It
isn't
is.
it?
Well, but you have to trust it.
Yeah.
And I think that it's easier said than done. And I think, for any business person watching, I think finding your authentic self and doing the work that only you can do will lead to growth in your business, and it will attract the right people and the right business.
Yeah, it definitely does attract the people that it's easier to do business with. Probably because, you attract people like you, birds of a feather.
Yeah.
Right. But it's an interesting journey as you go through and you shed those feathers. And because with those feathers go the people who aligned with that mask.
Yeah.
And it's hard to realize that they were attached to that mask and not you
Right.
as a human.
Yeah.
And there's a couple things that just to me seem so relevant. One is that when we're going after these things that we want, especially in our business, right? Every business owner is trying to manifest some sort of dream, something that they're willing to give their lives up for, basically, in so many ways. And the final step to getting what you want is shedding the identity that's holding you back from having it.
Yes.
Always comes down to that.
100%.
It's the last step. It's the
100%.
final boss. It's the Bowser that you have to be.
Yep.
Like the identity. And often that identity is, like you were saying, those feathers that other people have put into us that
Yes.
says you're going to be this,
Yep.
the conditioning that we receive, whatever
Right.
that ends up being. And we get to the point where we're like taking it off. Like, this isn't me. This isn't me. This isn't me. But you're shedding that identity. And that's the hardest thing to let go of.
It is.
Yeah.
Because in that, we find that the source of our authenticity is the gut, not the head.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to think is what you think about yourself, but it's actually what you feel about yourself.
Yes.
And that's we're so
Yeah.
disconnected from that through conditioning and all these various factors that we're talking about from society, family, faith, whatever.
Yep.
That at the end of the day, we have to get reconnected to like that gut feeling again,
Yeah.
to the point where you can trust yourself.
Yep.
So you're making, authoritative decisions,
Right.
which is so deeply connected to authenticity. I find
Agreed.
is that if you're authentic, you're authoritative. You know who you are.
Yep.
There is no, for me coming into this role and working with the team, there was a commitment I had to myself that I was going to remain my authentic self because I found it in a basement on Zoom, which was way easier to be able to kind of like have my life and
Right.
everything else going on. And I didn't have to interact with people day to day. It was just on a screen working remote. And so I found this authentic self that came online in that environment. I was like, wait, now I have to go into the business world and be the same. Am I going to change? Am I going to go cut my hair? Is my employer not going to hire me because I have like long hippie hair? Like, how is that, is that like, and that's just a silly thing, but it was part of the identity that like kind of came online for me.
Yeah.
It was like, nope, I'm going to do this. And so like did the process. Right. And so just that remaining authentic. And then of course, in doing so, find an incredible organization to partner with and work with. And so that authenticity piece is at every level of, and if it's modeled in leadership, it's going to then trickle down.
Agreed. Agreed.
I think a lot of people, when you find your true authentic self and you put it on display and you own it, I think people want to be a part of it.
I agree. I think because there's something attractive about somebody that is living in their power and in their truth.
Yeah.
There is something about that. And I can tell you with my own coming out journey, how many people from years past have reached out to me and said, watching your journey has helped me walk mine.
Wow.
And there's nothing more powerful than that,
Yeah.
or painful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, normal's boring, right? Original, it's exciting. Unique is sexy. If we're all living our true authentic selves, that's what we want to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Because then we're all being the best versions of who we are. Right.
And that makes us interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you find now that this has kind of come online and you're beginning to live it out? Never perfectly, right?
Yeah,
Those of us that
right.
like, it's never like, we don't ever arrive on
Right.
some levels, right? But how do you find it now shifting the way you're approaching business, how you've been building over the last couple of years, kind of fast forward now, like take us back to like, now what is this like for you?
So now I would say now it's like there's a lot more peace. There's less depression and anxiety. 2 years ago, about this time, I was curled up in bed and I wasn't getting out. I would go 2-3 weeks and barely leave the house. And it was rough.
Yeah.
And that's because I was letting my ego die because I was no longer this super successful real estate guy. I was a guy who couldn't get any deals done because nobody was doing deals, And so while that was dying, I think I knew that if I don't go through this and I don't detach my identity from this, that this dread, this anxiety, this depression will continue.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where you just have to surrender. But now it's be able to just to have more freedom to be like, oh, let's go on a podcast.
Yeah.
Let's start a podcast. Not like I'm trying to get famous from it or anything, but like there's actually people out there that don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And so if I can use my platform to make a difference, in a long way around to answer your question is I'm more productive now. I'm more intentional. I don't have a hurried lifestyle, and nor do I want it. I used to think that was a sign of success, but it's not. But if I have an extra hour before a meeting, guess what? And I don't have anything else to do, I can just sit in my car and read. or I could listen to a podcast, or I can do meditation. I think it's got me to the place where it's more like I can do this, you know. And like you said, it's a daily battle. You know, the thoughts are still there, the patterns are still there sometimes, but the more you do that, the more you heal. And I'm a huge proponent of therapy, EMDR, neural emotional testing, natural healing, somatic healing. You know, all of those things have been huge parts of my journey, because our bodies don't know what to do with the stress and expectations that are put on us.
It's true.
And so there's a whole other physical level that I think should be addressed. It's like, if you're feeling like you're in fight or flight and you're just like, go, 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 my gosh, you're not living, you know? And anxiety comes from either, you know, what happened in the past, or where you're afraid it's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
And so fear is such a big trigger for anxiety. And so I would say on this side of it, there's more love and less fear.
I remember one of my daughter's therapists many years ago, when she first started therapy, and we were exploring, you know, her mental health. They looked at us, and I'll never forget, she looked at us and said, there are only two primary emotions. Every emotion is rooted in one of these. It's either love or fear. And if you trace back every human emotion, it's usually connected to one of those root emotions. And when you look at society, like especially those big, heavy, I don't want to call negative emotions, because I mean, even what we dub as those bad emotions that we don't want to feel, they're not bad.
They're not bad.
They're
right.
human, right? And they're something all of us should experience. But oftentimes it's like, you know, anger is rooted out of fear. You know, why are you angry? Because I'm afraid of this. You know, or, you know, happiness is, I love this moment.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty neat. Pretty neat association.
Yeah.
You just mentioned your podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me on
Yeah,
as a guest.
absolutely.
With that said, how do you bring your true, authentic self into a commercial real estate podcast?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm still figuring that out. Some days are better than others. You know, you connect with some people better than you do others. You know, you're mentally better than one day than the next.
Yeah.
But for me, I just try to keep thinking about who is the end user and what do they need to hear? What do they potentially not know? And so because of that, we deal with people from we're not just brokers, not just investors. We're talking to the regional building department. We're talking to HR experts. We're talking to experts that any way that a small business can be affected, it doesn't have to be just the real estate.
Yeah.
But all of those things feed into the story and narrative of what that client actually needs, or a potential client actually needs. And so I just treat the podcast and the listeners like they're a client. You know, ask them questions, get curious, see what I can promote for them, but then also listen to the questions they aren't asking.
Yeah.
And then, so that takes active listening, right? And I think that's a very difficult thing to come by in the commercial real estate industry, is someone who's just going to sit and listen.
Absolutely. You know, I think that's why I was so grateful for you when we started working together, is you sat down and not only did you ask about the logistics and locations, you asked about the business and why we own the business and what do we do and what our differentiator was and how did we want to show up in the market. You really took that extra effort in understanding us. And I think that's probably why we're sitting in this really awesome sauce office space now, is because you knew we were unique and we had to find a space that was equally as unique.
Yeah. I don't know any other CPAs or HR companies in town that have space like this or identity like this.
Right.
Yeah.
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 No pocket protectors allowed.
Or mahogany.
Or mahogany. We'll burn it. Neon signs and tattoo chairs all day long.
There you go. 100%.
So almost kind of in that same thing, what you're saying, I'm curious, what do you feel like are the things that small business owners need to hear to be able to show up as their authentic self? What?
Yeah.
Maybe advice feels almost a little like it's not advice. It's like your story, your experience. From that, what do you feel like small business owners need to hear?
I think number one, they need to hear they're not alone and they have support. And we thankfully live in a city that has incredible supports for small businesses. Most people don't know that they exist. So I feel like for us, it's just like point them in the right direction. Here's somebody to help you with a business plan. Here's somebody you talk to about financing. And I think it's important for businesses to hire a broker that wants to understand their business and that will be their champion throughout the whole process. It's not just a transaction. These are people's lives that are going to be spent hours and hours in these spaces. So what does that feel like? And I think it's important for business to not know, first of all, not know they're not alone, but also that it's imperative to ask questions. I know when I started my business, I was just scared of asking the wrong question. And I tell my clients all the time, if you think it's a stupid question, please ask it, because that will probably uncover something else that we need to address. And so I think businesses need to realize that they're not alone. There are supports and groups, especially if you're in the Colorado Springs community. We can help and support your dream to get to fruition. It may not be in the timing you want. You may not be ready. And there's times where I tell people you're not ready yet, but here's what you're going to do to get ready. And then when they're ready, we go out to the market and we look. So I think small businesses feel very isolated very often. And so getting involved with things like the Small Business Week that's going on right now and different resources that are out there, there's tons. And so they just need to talk to the right people. And so if we can connect them, then that's what we'll do.
I always find it interesting, and I don't really know why I'm going down this rabbit hole, but I'm doing it because I want to. I find it interesting. A lot of people, especially in the commercial real estate world, try and tackle it on their own. You know, not use a broker. Go out, and I don't understand how they do it because you can't even barely find listings out there for commercial real estate. Like it's terrible.
It's terrible.
You guys should get a Zillow.
Yeah, but there's benefits to that. If you're a really good broker, then you rock it.
Yeah.
You know what's out there. You know what's going on. You know who to talk to. But you're right. It's like people think all the time, and I think for them, people are afraid to ask the question, well, how do you get paid if you're helping me?
Yeah, that's true.
And so there's just this unspoken, well, maybe I'll get a better deal if I just work directly with the owner. Absolutely not.
Yeah, actually, you'll get bent over.
You'll get, exactly. You might find a fair landlord, but at the same time, you need somebody who's representing your interests that is just on your side, that will point out, okay, you need to talk to an attorney about this. You need to talk to your CPA about this. And so really the purpose of a broker is to walk someone through a transaction beginning to end, and educate people along the way. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's like the Wild West out there. If people are looking for commercial properties, you're going to come to me and say, oh, I want to take a look at this property. I'm like, well, that sold 2 years ago. It just didn't get taken down. And there's so much other nuance with, who's the other company you're working with? Who's the other broker? How do you best present your case with this offer to lease this space? So people don't think about tenant improvements. Like that's going to cost money. You're going to have to pull a permit. And if it's not up to code, you're not going to get your certificate of occupancy, And so there's all these other things, and even things that people don't think about, triple net leases. They don't realize there's different types. They don't know how brokers get paid. They don't know how brokers will help them. And unfortunately, this industry has a reputation of not being helpful. It's very standoffish. It's very cold and transactional. And I think people just need to find the broker that works personality-wise and expertise-wise that work with them.
So when is it, you said people may not be ready, but when is it too early to start reaching out and asking these questions and using you potentially as that resource so they can better plan and better prepare? When do you find I
would say if they're looking to open a business, it depends on their timeline, how far along they are. But if they're in this stage where I had somebody call me last week and they were like, well, I have this idea. I'm like, great. Okay, you need to talk to your lender. You need to talk to this. And so he's probably at least a year out. But in order for him to do it right, he needs to be able to be talking to the right people.
Yeah. I mean, that's so much what it is often.
Yeah. So I would say there's a lot of planning. So I would say, I mean, if you're looking to start a business, 6 months to a year out, you need to be starting to have these conversations, because I think the expectation needs to be set that this is not going to happen in a month. You know, you're not going to be up and running in a month. If you're a restaurant, you've got to go through the health department stuff. You've got to go through the regional building department. You know, there's all these different things that people just don't realize are part of the process. But we've done our best to try to make it as business friendly as possible here in Colorado Springs.
I'm so glad I don't do what you do.
I'm glad I don't do what you do. It is hard because people don't realize. I mean, you know, I was working on a deal that was going to be the biggest deal I ever did, and it fell through.
Yeah.
And I've been working on it for 2.5 months. You know, there's times where you'll work 6 months to a year and nothing happens. And so that has been great so when I lost a $7 million deal, I was like, well, that happened. Let's move on.
Yeah.
You know, what else can you do?
Yeah.
You know, you just got to be prepared mentally and emotionally for it.
It'll come for you.
It will.
So how has all of this growth in your life made you a better commercial real estate agent?
Great question. I have a lot more empathy. I have a lot more patience with people. I also can be more direct. So I would say those are probably 3 things that has definitely helped me in how I do my business now. And it's like treating people with dignity and respect.
Yeah.
You know, not like, oh, you're dumb. You don't know what you're doing. No, it's like, no, let me ask some questions to you so then you feel comfortable asking questions of me. And then it becomes teamwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
And within your organization, I apologize, I don't know. Do you have staff? Do you have people that are kind of working?
I do.
With
I've
you?
got 2 part-time brokers and I've got an assistant as well. But we're a very small team. And they're all part-time. So it's still, you know, kind of me doing the day-to-day, but have great support and great team.
So how about as a leader, like a kind of leading people and having a staff, like how has it impacted your leadership?
Yeah, I think it forces you to be more direct, you know, and bring more communication and clarity, you know, in the good times and in the bad times, you know. And so I think having clearer communication, I think it's helped me to have that, because I don't have to just sit here and worry about my world, you know, and I don't want to worry about their worlds either, but to find a healthy balance in how do I lead and support at the same time, and also keep a solid personal relationship with, you know, I don't know if it was you that told me this or maybe somebody else, but someone told me, they're like, if you're going to hire somebody and you don't want you wouldn't want to have them over for Christmas dinner, they probably don't need to be on your staff.
Sounds like something I would say.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it was you. You know, because when we were in our growth stage, I was going from just me, you know, I met with Rihanna to say, okay, well, what do I need? Like, help me process this. And I thought I needed another broker, but that's not what I needed. I needed somebody to get the systems in place and the day-to-day operations operating smoothly.
And you nailed it.
It's been great.
Nailed it. So good. That was such a great day.
It was a good day.
Yeah, that'll always be a day in my heart. Like, oh, we did good.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So as you reflect back on just going through the mud, coming out of the mud, enjoying a little bit of sunshine and vitamin D as you build your business and the glory of you, what would you tell all of these people who are viewing right now? Like, what advice would you give them as they're considering maybe even just taking that step into the mud?
Well, I think you have to have the belief in yourself that you've got the courage and the wisdom to make it through. Yeah. And while you're going through it, don't stop. You know, you might need to pause for a minute and regroup and figure out the very next step, because sometimes you don't even know what's next. Yeah. You know, the next 10 seconds, what is it? But stay present, you know, and when you're in the pain, you're in their darkness, acknowledge it. It's there. Ignoring it doesn't do any good. Yeah. And so then you just do the next right thing. You just keep doing your best, you know, and sometimes you're crawling, but you're moving, you know.
Plucking the feathers is worth it.
Plucking the feathers is worth it. Yeah. It's, you know, I think it's, it brings a different level of freedom and happiness, not in the fleeting sense, but more of just like okay, I've done this before, I can do it again. Yeah. You know, And the thing is, we're always reinventing ourselves. We're always becoming a different version of who we are based on our experiences. And just knowing that this isn't a one-time thing, but get through it. And when you're on the other side, you'll be glad you did.
Well, I'm freaking speechless. Thanks
Mic
a lot.
drop
Yeah. Jason would really murder me if I did drop the mic.
Yeah, don't drop the mics, but mic drop.
Caleb, do me a favor. Tell all of our viewers how the hell they can work with you.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you don't have to work with us and get a deal done. You can call us and we will answer questions. We're not just a factory that puts out transactions. So if you have questions about anything commercial real estate, you can find us on Instagram at Caleb David. Same thing on LinkedIn, Facebook as well. And you can also listen to our podcast, Commercial Real Estate Unfiltered. We've got our 6th episode that just came out last night. So if you are curious about commercial real estate and the stuff around it, or your small business and you just don't know where to start, that's a great place to start. But then pick up the phone, say hello to us, and we'll be happy to talk.
Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Yeah, thanks
I'm
for
so
having me.
happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
Jason?
With that, I think we can sign off. Thanks for being here, and we look forward to seeing everybody on the next episode of Show Me Yours.